He said that they found out, and not all, thankfully the one Mama went to was not one they'd had problems with, because I died. But like, they've had complaints of some where they're just throwing mass bodies in the crematory, and you just get like,
and they just
Joe
take
Bob's
like a pile and put it in this box and a pile in
so
that
you
box.
may
so
have Joe Bob's
disrespectful.
ashes. Joe Bob may have your mama's ashes. Like, oh my God, how awful!
That's terrible.
What I have a problem with that is, yes, okay, it is a business, and I understand that.
Yeah, but they have an expectation
there's
to
a
do.
moral responsibility
To give people what they think they're getting.
Well, and I would imagine
to
there's
do what you're getting paid to do.
and I
Right.
would imagine there's probably a legal responsibility
you know
because
there is.
because
Because-
burial is very regulated.
Right. The whole, no matter how you go about the disposal of a human body,
If
it's
you
very
die
regulated.
right now, Amber can't have you buried in your backyard.
No.
See, that seems
Even though you own this
unreasonable to me.
property, she can't have you buried in your backyard.
Well, and like, it doesn't matter, cremation, whatever. The disposal of human bodies is regulated hugely, and should be, from beginning to end. And like, so to me, if you're doing that and people are getting like just random ashes, oh my God,
not only
that's
are you a piece of
fraud.
shit, but you're breaking the law.
Yeah, that is fraud. Oh my God. Like, I'm going to be real. I just had my mom's ashes tattooed into me. Can you imagine finding out 10 years later that you
Some
had...
pedophile dude.
You don't know who the fuck...
Well, and I don't know how much that process costs, but I do know this.
I can tell you.
Okay.
Just cremation, I don't mean a service. I don't mean...
Right.
I mean taking your loved one, picking them up from the hospital, running them through the crematory, and giving you a box of their remains is $1,000.
Okay. So when I pay that $1,000, I'm not paying $1,000, or I guess what I should say is I am paying that money for my loved one to be cremated individually, not in a group setting.
You are paying that money with the expectation that when they hand you those remains, it will in fact be your loved one.
And that my
They
loved
do it
one's
to
body,
pocket money.
I know,
Yeah.
to save time and all that, but I'm also expecting that my loved one's remains will be treated with a certain level of fucking dignity and respect.
And they will be handled in a way that, that they will, can you imagine just finding out that they let your mom's body or whatever just lay in a... Oh my God! I would just be murderous. I would.
Yeah, like that one you said it was Jacksonville,
where they just had them piled up.
I would be whooping somebody's ass bad.
You think, because it's important. I understand
right
that
there on
they're
Main
dead, but this is fresh for me, obviously. But yes, funerals are for the living, not the dead. They are so that we feel like we did right by those we love and we showed them honor. So by not following through, yes, they're disrespecting the dead, but they're spitting on grieving families.
Well, and the thing is, with a funeral, no matter what form that takes, whether the person has already been cremated, there's a casket, whatever, that is that final respect. That's why it's you paying your last respects. That's
the last thing you can do for them.
Yeah. And yes, I know they're,
But it's for you. It's to heal. It's to, you're trying
Right.
to... I love them, so I want to show
right. It's,
that.
well, it's part of the grieving process.
Yeah.
Let me do this last thing right by my loved one before we move on.
So, how's everybody here want to be?
I want to be cremated.
Where do you want to be spread somewhere? You want someone
I don't care about
turn
being
you into a diamond or a
spread.
tree?
I want to be cremated, and if my loved ones want to take my ashes and do with them like I did with the and make me into diamonds or trees or tattoos or all of the above, because trust me, most of those only take a tiny bit of remains. I whatever helps my family, the people I leave behind, feel like they're still connected to me is what I want them to do with me. You know what I mean? I mean, I've thought about it a lot, and I don't necessarily. I think I want to be cremated, and I just want whatever. You can keep me on the mantle if you want to, and tell me jokes, or like right now, Mom is in her room, and I go in there and I have coffee with her, and that may be morbid, but it helps.
But if that helps you, through the process,
you know, it's the closest I can get to her right now. And I mean, I know some people are like,
I wouldn't necessarily say that. You have her in your body, so there.
But I know some people think that's weird, but.
Who gives a fuck?
It helps me to know that she's literally a part of me. That everywhere I go now, she'll be.
That's the important part, though, right there. That it helps you, and what anybody else thinks doesn't fucking matter.
No. You know, because as I'm trying, as I laid there or as I sat there and I watched her leave me, I couldn't quit petting her. I couldn't quit, and that's when I thought that way I could. I do this all the time.
Yeah,
you know, it makes me feel like I can still reach out and touch her, and the thought that people are being disrespectful with people's loved ones. Oh my God, that's gross.
Honestly, it enrages me. Whether it would be my loved one or
anybody,
not,
because whoever, they love theirs like I love mine, and they deserve that.
Absolutely.
And, you know, like, oh my God, I keep thinking because I'm not a big, like, my family, the old, and I think that's something like the older. Was she an older lady?
Who?
The lady the gravestone.
I don't think so.
Because I know that a lot of the older generation are big about going to the cemetery and stuff. And that gives them great comfort. It's like the tattoo for me. It makes them feel connected. So I cannot imagine how that woman felt when she went there and her beloved husband, she's like, she had to feel like she woke up in a nightmare.
They would have woken up to a fucking lawsuit.
Yeah, they'd have been in a fucking
because I'd been like, I've got the receipt, motherfucker.
There's gonna be one.
Yeah.
Good.
I hope she now owns the town.
Yeah. I've always wanted to be cremated, and then I think, like, you know, up in the Ozarks off a cliff on a fall day with all the orange, and just scatter my ashes. But Chris wants to be buried.
This is important to know, and I didn't really realize this. Ashes aren't very ashy.
No.
Yeah, they're like chunky.
You'd probably be better spreading them on a beach because they just blend in.
It looks like sand.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, it really does. It looks like sand. Because it's really just like bone meal and stuff, you know. I thought it would be ashier. But yeah, I mean, spread me somewhere I love to be, or keep me, make me a tree, whatever helps you get over the loss of me.
Yeah. But that's always what I've kind of envisioned. But Chris wants to be buried. So I was like, okay, if you want to be buried, I can compromise and be buried. But I want a natural burial. I want a wicker casket. And they have plots now where it's just like a field. And they give people GPS locations because you can't have a headstone or anything. I was like, if you want to be buried, we can do a natural out in the field.
You can do what my grandparents did. He wanted to be buried. She wanted to be cremated. So what they did was they did a traditional burial for him, and then they buried her urn in the plot next to him, and they have a couple stone. Yeah. So, and they really both are right there. And so, yeah, you could do that too. And that way both wishes are respected.
Your turn?
You just told him mine.
But we want to hear it from you.
No, but like what you want. I know that's not what you want.
I don't know.
Oh,
yes,
please.
You do. I've heard you say
He wants to be in a cemetery buried. He wants
a stone.
Huge, elaborate headstone.
But anybody that actually knows me, that should be pretty obvious.
And you'd think that I would want that. And there was a time in my life when I did, but I don't. Because he and I mean, we're very different, but we're a lot alike. A lot. It's scary.
I just like grandiose shit, though.
Yeah. Okay, Ross. Then don't say what I know you're going to say. He's going to say, I don't care, I'm dead. Put me in a pine box.
Now he's not going to say anything.
Throw me out on the fire pit.
Fuck up.
How many times have you said that?
Good job, asshole.
Well, that's what I've always felt. Why do I care? I'm dead.
I know, but we will...
I get that.
Yeah. So
that's what I was going to say. I would prefer... if you'll shut the hell up.
Oh, shit.
Nobody cares, Brandy.
Nobody gives a shit.
Nobody gives a shit. Is the vernacular.
So you probably want the natural too, because they have pine.
No, I don't. I honestly don't care. I'm dead. To me, cremate me. Saves you money. Mm-hmm. I'd rather you go and live.
Yeah,
than
I'd rather
spend
my family spend
$90,000
the less
on,
amount of money.
Yep.
Because
Actually, I want to change mine. I would like to have a nice memorial.
Yeah.
But as far as with my remains, whatever helps my family grieve is...
And that's the other thing. I sure as hell don't want what's happened with some of the people in her family, where people that really didn't know the person have come in and decided all these things.
Yeah.
And made this big elaborate
This is what
deal.
they want. Are you crazy?
Did you even know this person?
Okay.
That's why I talk about this stuff, because I want people to
know what you
know
want,
it.
you know? And they were asking
one person, if several of the old cronies had their way, would have looked like a pimp funeral.
well, okay,
you know what I'm talking about.
Okay,
dad.
no, that's what I want.
My dad was an outdoorsman. He was simple. He was old school. And I remember when he died before his mother and his aunt, who had been like a surrogate mother. So Mom had to kind of share the planning with them. She didn't have to, but she did. Let's put it that way. And
I don't know that I would have agreed to that.
I wouldn't have. I got news for you. If something happens to Ross and his parents are still alive, I'm running this shit show. I'm sorry. No one knows him better than me. Mm-hmm. And, but anyway, so...
It'd be different if we were married 6 months ago.
Right.
But, yeah.
Yeah, like my parents, when Dad died, had been married 37 years. Yeah. I think she knew the man at that point.
A little bit, yep.
Yeah. They'd been through some shit. But, like, they were picking out these caskets. And I was like, have you met my father? Mm-hmm. I mean, I know you gave birth to him and shit, but did you actually know who he was?
Yeah.
Because he would not want this lacquered casket monstrosity, something simple, oak, pine. And I'm not saying like an unvarnished pine, but something very natural and simple. Like, Mom, my dad, like his greatest joy was riding his mules and hunting with his mules. So what she wanted, the casket saddle of flowers, she literally wanted to put a saddle there and then build the flowers around it. They had a fucking fit. So what did he end up having? Like, it looked like he was a goddamn racehorse. He had a carpet of red roses across his casket. Daddy would have hated that. Hated it. And like, he wanted to be buried in his jeans and his boots and a polo, his belt. That's how he lived. Mm-hmm. No, he had to be buried in a suit. And it's not, I understand that the funeral is for the ones left behind, but you are still trying to honor that human that lived.
Yeah.
Like, it's so crazy, but,
So I have a question, and I don't know if this is just something that has gone away because of laws or if you have to have special permits, but are people allowed nowadays to have family plots on their land?
No. You can get special... Yeah, you can. You can get...
For like a family cemetery?
You can get, like, if you have a lot of acreage, you can get... where you can have like
it probably have to be zoned a certain way,
right? I mean, it's not an easy
and
thing.
And a large, there's like a minimum acreage. Okay,
yeah.
Used to be, I mean,
anybody could do it.
Well, Good Earth Garden Center that I worked at years and years and years ago, at the back of the property was an old family cemetery.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yep.
Yeah, used to that was the thing, but now it can still be done, but sadly, and isn't this not surprising, it's only really available to the very wealthy because you have to have so much land.
Most things are, though.
Yeah. But that, I feel like honoring our dead, that's a universal thing. We should all, I mean, I understand the nightmare that it could be.
To be fair, I don't think you should be able to do that if you've got a 1/4 acre of land.
No.
But if you've got a couple of acres and you've got enough room where it's a reasonable distance away from the primary residence and all of that.
Also would have to be like back in the day, this property, this house has been passed down generation to generation.
You'd never be able to sell that house.
Well, and the other thing is like it can't be close to a water source.
Or close to this.
septic
Well, yeah, all
area.
of that's
So,
reasonable.
I mean,
Yeah, that is,
Yeah.
I mean, for public safety.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, I understand why there has to be, but